It's the Midnight Trucking Radio Network. Eric Harley here. We're at MATS 2010, the Mid-America Trucking Show in Louisville, Kentucky. Joining us right now is Michael Hitchcock from Knight Transportation. Michael, how are you?
Good to see you. Thanks for having me, Eric.
Mike, let's talk about today's environment. I know it's not always a popular topic, but certainly people are talking about it. What is it, in your opinion, what does it take to be a top-performing driver in this economy?
I think things have obviously changed dramatically in the trucking industry in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And I think right now that I feel very confident in saying that we are starting to see a change in the economy.
Right.
And that's going to change things even further. The new changes with CSA 2010 as that comes out is going to tighten up the driver market. I think right now the supply versus demand is starting to get in our favor.
Sure.
So we've got more freight out there than we can haul.
Right.
As that continues to increase, there's been a lot of truckers taken out of the industry. A lot of truckers have chosen to pull out of the industry, not just going out of business.
Right.
So there's going to be a shortage.
Yeah.
And that's going to drive rates up. It's going to make it a great environment for an owner-operator, which, a few years ago we thought the owner-operator was a thing of the past.
Right.
That's going to come back around again, where there's going to be a great opportunity where an owner-operator can make a great living.
Yeah.
There's also very soon, we're already seeing the driver pools tighten up already, and we haven't even started CSA 2010
Right,
yet.
right.
So I think that the trucking field, becoming a truck driver, is something that's going to be much more appealing to the general public. I think we're going to be bringing more drivers in.
Right.
But I also think that the things that we've learned during this economic downturn, the motor carriers out there, the major motor carriers, have really fine-tuned their accounting.
Yeah.
We know where every penny goes,
Yeah.
and we have to account for every penny.
Right,
so
right.
what it takes to be a top-performing driver in today's environment is far different than what it was a few years ago.
Yeah.
A few years ago, if you asked most motor carriers what characteristics their top drivers had, they deliver on time and they run a lot of miles.
Right.
It takes a lot more than that to be successful in today's environment. Today's environment, you've got to consider fuel economy is a huge factor. We're hiring, and from a major motor carrier standpoint, we're looking to hire professionals, not just somebody to operate a truck. And that means we're looking for a guy that gets the best fuel mileage, the guy that is the most safety conscious, makes the fewer mistakes, makes good balanced decisions, as well as delivers on time. He can stay productive. He's my #1 customer service representative with my customers.
Right.
And it has to be the whole package deal.
Yeah, that's interesting because it's something that we've preached here on Midnight Trucking for years, and we're kind of seeing this because of some of the demands that are brought on by CSA 2010, but of course the economy as well, and some of those lessons we've learned from this economy, and that is you really do have to be that all-around business person. The days of just getting behind the wheel, and we know that's the enjoyable part. Drivers want to drive, but the days of just getting behind the wheel and doing nothing else have gone. They've come and gone. And so you really do have to be that full package. You have to be that all-around business person, and you got to be on top of it and ahead of the changes all the time.
As well as being a good communicator with your employer and making sure that you're both successful.
And that's interesting because we know that, and of course you all know just as well as anybody, you're serving, of course, the driver, and you're serving your customer. And with the driver, you're serving the customer, but you're also communicating, which is serving that company that you're associated with.
Exactly.
And I think that this relationship that we have really has to have that full synergy. Everybody has to have those interests in mind when they make every decision along the way. I think it's some great information from you. Let's talk specifically about a couple of lessons maybe that we have learned from this economy. Obviously, we've got to be on top of it. As you mentioned, a lot of the bean counters really are on top of it. They're watching every single penny and tenth of a penny that's going out the door as far as costs are concerned. Would you say that's our biggest lesson here from a downturn in the economy?
I think it's a big lesson for right now.
Yeah.
I think there's other lessons to be learned, but I think that the one thing that I would want our drivers to understand is there's only so much pie to hand out.
Sure.
You look at all the major carriers, all of our rates are about the same. All of our costs are about the same.
Yeah.
You might slice benefits different. You might slice mileage pay, but what goes to the driver is about the same.
Yeah.
what drivers have to understand is the total package that's coming in to take the pie
Yeah.
is not what it used to be. So
Yeah.
we have to manage it better. And some of the things that companies have done, I know at Knight Transportation, we've had to fine tune and watch things as simple as taking the trucks home. You know, our drivers
Right.
would want to take the trucks home on weekends. That worked okay when a driver was home for 1 day a week.
Right.
In this environment, as freight has been so slow as it has, our drivers, it's no secret that they've been spending 7-10 days out on the road
Sure.
to make about 5 to 7 days wages compared to where we were back in 2005.
Right.
What they have to understand is we're in the same position. We're putting that truck out there,
Yeah.
and it's working 7 days a week, but it's only generating about 4 days revenue. So when the drivers come in, some of our drivers are going out for 3 and 4 weeks because of choice.
Right.
And when they come in, they want to take 4 or 5 days off. Well, that's fine. We want them to take we want them to take care of their family. We just don't want to park that truck. We want to keep that truck generating revenue. So we're doing some slip seating things. As the environment frees up, I think that'll change. We'll be able to be a little bit freer with that.
Yeah.
But I think the carriers that have been successful in this environment have had to make changes like that just to keep their equipment productive. And drivers have to understand that it's not because we don't want you to take your truck home. It's because it's part of the economy. We've got to keep that tractor rolling.
Yeah.
But we've got a commitment to take care of your family too. That's very
Sure.
important to us.
And that's it. And again, it is about that balance. But along the way, we've made as an industry and as individuals, we've made mistakes. We continue to make mistakes. We try and learn from those mistakes. So help us learn here, Mike, from some of these mistakes that we're making. What are some of those common mistakes, and what's some of that common misinformation that's out there right now, the myths out there that you think we could change or we need to dispel?
There's some myths out there where I've heard drivers make comments like motor carriers are laying off their long-term employees because they make a higher mileage rate so they can bring in the younger and experienced
Right.
guys.
Yeah. Right.
That is an absolute myth.
Yeah.
We build in the trucking business. We build our margins around every driver being successful. And in our perfect world, I'd love to have every driver here at a 10-year level at the top of my performance pay,
Sure.
earning top dollar. I still make the profit that I need because the performance is there.
Sure.
So that's a big myth. There's other myths out there where drivers feel like, if I can get a job at any motor carrier, and if this carrier doesn't take care of me, I'm going to just jump jobs and go to work for carrier B.
Yeah. Yeah.
The biggest drivers have to understand that there's no perfect trucking company out there. There's no perfect job. There's some very good trucking companies out there, though, and you have to be balanced in what your goals are. You
Yeah.
have to look at the company that's going to take me the way that I want to be taken care of.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And stick with them.
Yeah.
Stick with them. Get
It's
that
like a
longevity
marriage.
pay.
Yeah,
exactly.
It is like a marriage, and I've always talked about the matching game because, in the past, Mike, let's face it, at shows like Mid-America, but especially at this show, you could walk around the recruitment pavilion, and we had this musical chairs game going on in the past where, of course, we can ill afford that type of jumping around these days, but back in the day, we had a huge turnover ratio of 130% plus, 136, 137% for the industry on an average. And that mentality has also changed. But all along, I've always said to drivers, you've got to know an interview, if you're talking to a company, that interview has to be a two-way situation. And you also have to know that nothing is going to be perfect. It's always going to be work. But if you're willing to work and the company is willing to work with you, then that is a great situation to be in. Would you agree?
Truck drivers want to work.
Yeah.
They're the hardest working people in America.
Yeah, right.
All they need to understand is that we want to work with them.
Yeah.
Come and talk to us. If we can't do something, we owe you the respect to tell you why.
Yeah.
And that's what they need to do.
Sure.
Not everything is possible.
Right.
But what's not possible, the motor carrier, there should be that communication that, hey, this is a business. This is what we can do. This is what we can't
Yeah.
do. This is why
Yeah.
we can't.
Right.
But you have to communicate with each other.
Yeah.
And you have to talk.
Yeah.